Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is none other than the Jotun Toten, the Vault Dwelling, the Disciple, the Mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, the hero of Solstice, Mr. Josh Finney.
Can I officially be called a conqueror now that I have earned the Conqueror title?
Yeah. The Conqueror, Josh Finney.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, it happened almost entirely on accident too. I was gunning to earn it this season, and I realized, I'm gonna have to get through either Proving Grounds or Corrupted to earn it this season. And lo and behold, first real try on Proving Grounds, boom, knocked it out.
Nice.
It was great.
Nice.
It took us about 40 minutes, but it was good. We just took it slow and sweet. We nearly did Corrupted last night, first try.
Oh wow.
That actually was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The 3.0 subclasses are game changing in game mechanics. I still stand by my earlier assessments though that champions need to go. They got to go.
Yep. No.
They got to go. They got to get out of here. They have no place in this game.
Champions are a pain, I will say. It's not.
But
exactly.
Nerd Generalist and I both earned our Conqueror titles this week. I finished mine up last night. We ran Inverted Spire with A1 Johnny so that all of us could have a shot at Horror's Least without having to bang out Corrupted.
Yeah.
For the GM. We got a chance at the Adept one. Got a roll I quite like. Got a Perpetual Motion Kill Clip on mine, I believe. So very excited for that one, for some PvP action and for some endgame shield breaking. Oh god, man, it's been a great week on the loot front now that I'm thinking about it. Got the Conqueror title, got a great Horror's Least. Got Heart Shadow. I got Heart Shadow 2 weeks in a row. I got 2 drops of it.
Ooh.
I can't get a good Storm Chaser to save my life. My only roll has been really bad. It was Adaptive Munitions and Rangefinder, but I got 2 Heart Shadows to drop. I'm still convinced that the breech-loaded grenade launcher in Duality is just like some sort of cruel prank on me.
It's a myth.
I haven't seen that sucker at all. I have yet to earn it. So, but yeah, two Heart Shadows. And oh god, what else? I got some other stuff this week too. Caliban's Hand got the new Hunter arms for this season. Pro tip: wait for the EDZ Lost Sectors come back in the rotation and just go bang out whatever you're missing on any class.
Nice.
They take like 90 seconds.
Cool.
3 champs, 90 seconds for Excavation 13. Cool. I got the Blight Ranger helmet today for my Hunter, so I'm all caught up on all my exotics. Wow. Got Necrotic Grips going on my Warlock. I even played on my Warlock. Got me some Necrotic Grips.
I also played on my Warlock, Josh, and then I switched because
did you really?
I didn't want to, play the first mission of the campaign, so I switched. I think I could just quit out, but I didn't feel like doing that. But what I did.
Yeah.
So what I did was, I've been like buying all of these exotics and stuff for my other classes just to have them, and then big same. And then I've been wanting to play other classes, but I haven't been wanting to put the work in. Let's be honest. And so what I've been doing is saving these exotics, even if they're doubles, and I have all of my characters above 1550 now without playing with them.
Yeah, the progression has definitely been a lot better since Witch Queen. I mean, I don't even play my Titan, and my Titan is 1550 ready to go, basically.
Yep.
I was getting Pinnacle drops when I took it into Iron Banner. Removing the level cap in Iron Banner was just incredible.
Yeah.
For all of my classes to get caught up.
Yeah.
I definitely think I would be more likely to play my Warlock, and I really meant to play some Lost Sectors last night, but it was like, do I want to get Conqueror, or do I want to go do Lost Sectors?
Right.
I meant to go in and unlock Couriers of the Falling Star and to get Mantle of Battle Harmony finally on my Warlock. Yeah. Those are like 2 of the most essential exotics in the entire game, regardless of what class you play.
I know. And I still need to get.
I'd like to get them.
I still need to get the chest that Caress of the Falling Star for my Titan. I just have not.
I would keep an eye on the Lost Sector rotation, and in about 8 days, the EDZ ones are going to come back up.
Yeah.
And I would just, whatever one it is, just go in and farm it. It'll be like 3-4 champs at the absolute most, taking 90 seconds, maybe 3 minutes at tops.
Yeah.
Just super easy. You don't even need a barrier champ mod. Just take Galleon with you.
Yeah.
It's great. This is the best loot week I've had in months.
Yeah. I started following Lost Sector thing on Twitter and turn my notifications on, and when it's the chess piece, I'm just gonna, if it's an easy one, I'm just gonna run in and try to farm it that day. The problem is,
I mean, you really should.
The chess piece always pops up on days when I'm super busy, which is part of the problem.
I think this is the season to go get it, though, because with Arc 3.0 next season, man, Falling Star is just going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's why I want it, is because I know it's going to be so good next season, and I don't want it to be like, oh, well, next season it's going to be awesome, but we're going to make these things harder so you can't get it, one of those things.
It'll like knowing it'll be a season where it's like the moon lost sectors and like, oh, we're gonna give you the moon, the hardest one from the Dreaming City, and like Throne World ones. Right. Like that's gonna be your rotation. Have fun, guys.
Yeah. Pass. Thanks.
I think throwing the EDZ ones in there and even like sprinkling some Nessus ones in has been really nice, because it's like, okay, there are definitely some that are just a quick run, 3-4 minutes tops, as opposed to like some of these moon ones that almost feel like mini strikes in a way.
Yeah, there was the one I tried to do on the moon.
Trying? What's that?
Yeah, no, the one I did. Yeah, the one I did on the moon. That's all the way over in, all the way over by the base on the left side. I tried to do that a couple times, and the first time I ran out of time, and then the second and third time I flew through it after I knew kind of what I was doing, and I didn't get anything. So
yeah, it's never a good feeling to not get anything. That's why, like, at least if I do like a 2-minute one, I'm not getting mad. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But I actually kind of want to start there tonight with the Legendary Lost Sectors. Like, we talk all the time about things that we think need to be buffed and changed, and I'll admit I am not the person who goes and runs a ton of Legendary Lost Sectors every season. I find an easy one, and I farm it until I get the exotic piece for that season, if I even care about it.
Yeah.
And then I go in, like, last season I clearly did not care about getting the Blight Ranger, and I really, I wanted to get the... Renewal Brass, not Renewal Brass. I don't think they're Renewal Brass. Whatever the Hunter Stasis Gauntlets were, I'm completely blanking now. Whatever those were, I think those are, whatever. The black armory looking gauntlets that we got.
Yeah.
The Stasis Gauntlets. I picked that as my exotic that I got from Ikora at the end of the campaign, and truthfully, I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I actually should have gone and gotten the Blight Ranger and then just farmed whatever one came up for arms.
Right. How are you gonna know though?
Yeah, I mean, well, because they changed the drop rates. They severely nerfed the exotic drop rates from those.
Yeah.
And when it's something super easy like Excavation 13 or the Quarry or even like Scavenger's Den, like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not okay when it's like K1 Revelation, K1 Crew Quarters, the stupid one in the Throne World where you have to go capture the 3 plates. Like, I'm not saying like those are like hard, but there is definitely like a difference in I can blow through this in 2 minutes, and man, I have to spend 10 minutes here and I may not even get something at the end. Like, I actually have a statistically high chance of getting an enhancement core or nothing.
Right.
And I feel like when you're doing something like that, and I realize that what I'm saying flies in the face of my philosophy, like, you should never leave empty-handed. And I think Bungie would love to not have us leave empty-handed, but they know that something like 13 would be just absolutely abused every time. Maybe if you cut it to where, like, you only had one of those that you could farm a season, kind of like the Grandmaster Nightfalls, right? Like, if you had one chance, maybe 2, to farm each armor piece in that easy lost sector a season, maybe that's a route that you could go.
Yeah.
But I think that would kind of be a fair compromise. Like, that was my complaint when we did the Corrupted last night. We wiped. We had been in there for about 32 minutes, I think. And I was like, this just underlines my whole philosophy. Like, I should never spend a ton of time in a high-end endgame activity and leave empty-handed.
Right.
And I don't know if the solution is to throw crafting balls at us, to throw shards or prisms, or... I don't know what the solution is there, but like even like a guaranteed high stat piece of armor or something that Bungie themselves would consider to be a god rolled weapon. Like I could even live with things like that. Guaranteed red border weapons. Right. I could live with things like that. Like maybe like your first 4 completions guarantee you something, and then or your first 3 completions of a legendary Lost Sector a day guarantee you like endgame loot. And then all your chances just drop off, except the exotic still keeps like a 25% chance of dropping. Like either way, that drop rate's got to get buffed, especially if you're going to give me one with shitty stats on top of that.
Right.
Like just having it in my inventory isn't enough anymore. Like I don't want to spend hours of my life in the same Lost Sector just to get something with like maybe 6 points higher.
Right.
I went through this with Star Eater Strides last year. Like I got a great roll right off the bat, and then it got not right off the bat. I mean, I probably grinded that Lost Sector out, multiple times trying to get a better roll. I had like a 60, I think, going in, and then it got nerfed, and it never got fixed. Now that it's been fixed, I don't have a good roll on it. I got rid of them, so I'm SOL unless I want to just go torture myself in a Lost Sector now.
Right.
So. I don't know, or like once you have them in your inventory, like maybe they get weighted different, because they can still drop out of your exotic ingrams. Maybe like they get weighted differently, or like if you were to get an exotic from an in-game activity, like it's guaranteed to be one you can only earn out of Lost Sectors or something.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean.
I think that's like when we talk about like PvE being in a great position, like Legend Lost Sectors are one of the few things that I would want to, like Legend Lost Sectors and Champs are like the 2 main things I want to see changes to going forward. And I don't think that's something that you feature at the showcase unless you're getting rid of Champs.
Right.
But like Legend Lost Sectors, it's time for a duel where like giving them the new exotics was a great idea, but like maybe after they've been in there for a year, then they can go to Zer's pool.
Right.
Or they like get weighted the same as all other exotics or something. Because I turned in 6 exotic engrams out of the pass last night.
Right.
Hoping to get a slightly better roll on Calibans. And let me tell you something. I got 3 Aeon Swifts. I got 2 Stompies.
Wow.
I already had a Stompies and an Aeon Swift drop earlier this week.
Yeah.
From doing endgame activities. That is absurd. I statistically cannot get a better roll on my Aeon Swifts than I have now. Yeah. I have a 69 stat roll without masterworking them.
Nice.
Like you can get 1 point better than that, and I can tell you the amount of people I've ever seen who have gotten a natural 70, and it's 1 person on Twitter. And that's it. Like it doesn't happen. And that like comes back to I think the reward structure, like, and we've talked about this before. Maybe that's a conversation for like another day, because I do have a feeling that we're going to see some changes to the reward structure. But like putting exotics in there, cool. I have no problem with putting exotics into the legendary Lost Sectors. You want the best gear, you need to go do them. But at the same time, like. Yeah. And I think that they're trying to address that in a lot of ways by putting the easy Lost Sectors in there, like the ones in the Cosmodrome or the ones that are in the EDZ, for example.
Right.
They're trying to put those in there because those are easier to go bang out. It's like everyone has a chance to do it. But I still think after a year, they need to go into the regular rotation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially if you're going to introduce new ones. Eventually, right? Like,
I mean, like, for God's sake, the ones that you earn at the end of the Shadowkeep campaign 3 years ago aren't even in Zer's inventory.
I know. That's ridiculous.
That's wild to me. That's absolutely asinine.
Yeah, and I know they want you to grind to go buy the stuff at that kiosk, but like even then, it's like there's still exotics that aren't offered there that are from those expansions. You know.
I mean, I don't mind earning things from the kiosk. I would almost rather like have like a legacy weapon rotation going into the lost sectors or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
For some of these like more basic ones that like didn't have quests, like old season pass weapons or something like Tiku's divination.
Right.
I think that would be something that could kind of shake them up a little bit if you feel like, oh, we might not have enough content. I'm not sure, because I genuinely like the idea behind Legend Lost Sectors. I guess I wish it was weighted differently.
Yeah.
And I can see almost no benefit to going and doing a master one.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. Unless like the master one was going to give you that plus like a golf ball, you know. Which it's not.
And I feel like even then we have so many routes to getting golf balls and getting prisms now. Like I'm full up in my postmaster on those and on crafting golf balls. Like I literally cannot hold anymore. And I've masterworked a lot of exotic armor this season.
Yeah. Playing
with new builds like Caliban's. I got a 64 on it. I was like, fine, that's as good as I'm gonna get for a while. I'm masterworking this sucker.
Right.
And like I'm enjoying it. It's the most fun I've had with an exotic in years probably.
Yeah.
But now I think then the pressure comes on of, okay, how do we keep making that fun? Like Loreley Splendor was the one for Titans, right? Like it was fun last season. It's god tier this season with Solar 3.0 and with the restoration. And then you don't even have to have restoration to make it work, right?
Nope.
Like, so I think that's part of the thing for Bungie is like, okay, how do we make these unique and not game breaking, but like kind of let them be OP for a season or two in certain activities. Like, I mean, you just equipping Loreley, like you're basically just that tank.
Mm-hmm.
You don't die. Like we were laughing. We told Joe he needed to go die yesterday while we were running Duality, and he was like running around in the Kaido encounter and just wouldn't die.
Yeah.
He had to like jump out of bounds to die.
Right.
That was like, hey, things like that should totally happen. Like I'm really enjoying having restoration right now. I'm enjoying a lot of the artifact mods of this season, in regards to builds. While we're talking about fires though and flames.
Fire.
Corey, you and our listeners had some thoughts on Solstice.
Yeah. So
now that you've had some time to play it, and I'm not just giving like an impression after 2 hours of playing.
Right. No, I played. I actually played quite a bit of it this past weekend because I hadn't done it yet, and I wanted to have some kind of full impression instead of like, oh, it's Solstice event, like that kind of impression.
Yeah.
That sometimes I know I have and should probably be better about certain things. It was cool. I mean, it was cool. It was fine. Like it's way better than it used to be, right? I like the kind of four-corner idea.
Oh, much better. You know where the spawns are immediately.
Yeah, I like that idea. And then, like, you have to go kind of chase down some things, and then you kind of go back and rinse and repeat sometimes. But, like, I liked it. It was cool. It's something that, like, if you needed to either grind for stuff or you just needed something to change up your night with your buddies when you're playing, like, it's fun. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Or even if you jump in for like a half hour, like by yourself, and you kind of go in there, right? It's cool. It's fun. I'm not gonna say it's amazing because I don't think it's amazing, but it is good. Like it's not something that I'm gonna make fun of when it comes back around the next time. I would like to see a little bit more to it. I think. Kind of maybe introduce like a strike / dungeon / raid boss at the end, not clearly not that difficult, but just to like introduce different styles of mechanics to people who maybe don't get to raid or play dungeons all that often. I think that would make it more interesting. But overall, I mean, I think it's way better than it used to be. But I would like to see some boss mechanics added to it. I think
I'd like to see some boss mechanics added. I think that not putting a huge emphasis on boss encounters or anything like that, and especially not hunting down those fucking chests.
Right, yeah.
Has made it to where people aren't just, like, bailing on you or going AFK. Like, it's a fairly quick event, and the spawns are so predictable once you figure out the pattern.
Yeah.
You don't have to be right up on the fire to chuck the orb at either, as long as you have a clear line of sight at it, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I enjoy that you very rarely have to go up on top of the building roofs anymore.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was like the worst part of the last event, right? It was like jumping, getting up there, especially for like classes that can't jump that I won't name. Warlocks. But
yeah, I like Bonfire Bash. I think this is kind of like a half step forward. Like, I'm waiting for them to take that full step forward, like Festival of the Lost did last year, with the haunted lost sectors and like with Finch's stories and things like that. Yeah. I don't know, like, if we need a different character associated with it or what. And I'm not saying like, well, not Finch, God, Glint. That's what I meant, not Finch. Jesus. No, I'd like to see, maybe somebody associated, like, if Saladin wasn't off leading the Cabal war machine, he would probably be pretty cool to be helping out with Solstice or something.
Yeah.
Or, maybe Shax or something. I don't know, somebody like Ikora, like, canonically is making the whole thing levitate just, like, by using her power.
Yeah.
I think it seems like they're kind of, like, trying to make Amanda Holiday the Solstice person, and, like, listen, I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. Nobody gives a fuck about Amanda Holiday.
Yeah, no.
Nobody.
Oh, cool.
Like, we care about her about as little as we do Hawthorne.
Yeah. I'd say a little bit more than Hawthorne. Not much.
They've at least given her, like, somewhat of a storyline over the last 4 years.
Yeah. But I mean, she's still not.
I'd like to see some. I'd like to see some changes there. I think the more that we have these events, the better the loot pool is going to become, because, like, you look at the loot pool we get, like, during Festival of the Lost and, like, at Christmas during the Dawning. They've been doing those events for so many years, and we have several weapons stacked up that can all drop from it now.
Yeah.
Right? I think next year I'll be a little bit more excited to come in and farm, because you got the hand cannon, which, I mean, I don't care about, but you've got Compass Rose, and Compass Rose has new perks this year. Mm-hmm. I really like that it can roll with Incandescent. That's just the funnest perk. Yep.
Oh no, I need to go do some bonfires. That's cool though.
I really enjoy that can roll with it. I don't like that there's multiple currencies, and I aired this grievance last week. Like, Bungie and their limited currencies, man. I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. There's got to be some other creative way to do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some other way to keep track of this than by me having to. It's like this synth weave thing all over again.
Oh my gosh, synth weave.
How that was. Like, I don't understand why I can't just use the. Why don't I just earn, like, and I get the philosophy behind it, like, oh, you're earning this from playing the game, and then you have to go do the bonfire to turn it into the ash for your armor. Like, that's a cool concept, but it's also kind of stupid.
Yeah. In theory, it's nice.
Why do I need multiple currencies?
Yeah,
in theory, it's nice. In execution, it's like, okay, this is kind of dumb.
Right.
I guess I could live with it if it was that, but why do I need fucking kindling on top of that?
Right.
Or why can't I just earn kindling and then take it there because you use kindling to start a fire? Why can't I do that and then get my ash out of it when the bonfire is over? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could cut out the silver leaves is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You could cut something out here.
Yeah.
It feels like some unnecessary steps were taken. And it's unnecessarily confusing at times.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it is better.
Yeah. I think the quicker...
It's not... Yeah, go ahead.
Like, the quicker you can get back into the activity without these random currencies, right, the better. Like, I don't understand why there's, like, multiple steps and multiple things. If you want people to play your event, get them back in quicker. And then, I don't know. Silver leaves.
One thing I will say, I saw a lot of complaints about, oh, they want us to go do things other than play the event. Y'all get mad when they only tell us to play the event. Which one is it going to be?
Right.
Which one's it going to be? Y'all got mad that you had to bang it, that you had to do nothing but the EAZ. I'll tell you something. I would rather have this system and, like, oh, I'm getting rewarded for things I'm already doing, considering it's the back half of the season. I'm wrapping up my seal. I'm wrapping up triumphs, etc. I can go knock out multiple things at once right now.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that was baffling to me is one of the challenges to get a piece of kindling is complete sever activities or altars of sorrow. Why the fuck does the Leviathan not count instead of altars of sorrow? Like, it seems to me like there's a public event activity with waves in it that is associated with sever that you could easily put in here. I digress.
No,
I digress.
I get it.
It just seems a little silly to me overall. But yeah, overall it's better. And we asked for some thoughts, and just about everybody had the exact same thoughts as us.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like we're having fun, but
yeah.
Yeah. Like, can we get a little bit more substance here, essentially?
Yeah.
Let's see. Jesus wrote in and says, Solstice wasn't as annoying of a grind as Guardian games. 100% agree. Guardian games fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Guardian games is, like, probably the worst thing that we have to do currently.
Yeah, Guardian games... this is way better than Guardian games, for sure.
Way, way better than Guardian games. RushJet wrote in and says, Solstice has been nice. New Bonfire event's been a good change from the previous event. Again, Guardian games. Absolutely agree. My fire team tends to do their normal grind, then cap off the night with a Bonfire Bash or two. Yep, same here. We go do all our playlist stuff, get kind of full up on the leaves, and then we head over and turn them into ash. Rolling stats on armor is nice to see, but the outcomes have been blah for me. This has been like really hit and miss because I was, having the same experience. What I've kind of discovered, and I'm sure you're doing this, is equip they even tell you on the screen, like, make sure you have the right ghost mod equipped for the stats that you want. Yeah. Our friend Joe has managed to get a really great set of armor going with this. So I definitely will vouch and say, man, trust me, like, it's a bit of a grind. I know it's a bit of a grind. We still have a week and a half left in the event. I would encourage you to go a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks left, really. It goes through the 9th. Go and try and get some more. I mean, I'm not advocating for anybody to play more of the limited activities, but when you have an opportunity to kind of like just farm the armor infinitely and like re-roll your stats, like, I get that means you're gonna have to do more activities and more Bonfire Bashes, and it's meant to feed the progression.
Right.
The progression. I think it's great for those who have not been lucky enough to get God rolled armor over the last couple of seasons. I mean, I'm still using boots from Season of the Worthy. Dude, when they stopped with the vaulting of our stuff, when they stopped sunsetting, thank God those boots did, because they have a plus 37 in restoration.
I'm still using the Iron Banner chest piece from Season of the Chosen. So,
I mean, yeah, that's like from the last year at least. Like, I mean, it's when you get a piece of armor that has like a really good stat distribution, like, yeah, you want it. And I'd probably be more inclined to like change it up if there were better like armor origin perks, which we're definitely seeing a shift towards that now.
Yeah,
but I want to see more along that, because then that would be like another baked in perk. I would be like, oh, I need to replace what I'm currently wearing.
Right.
But for now, like, that'll do. I probably will like bang out a chest piece for myself, because my arms are almost always my artifice arms. They're either my artifice arms, or I'm wearing shards, or I'm wearing Caliban's hand. Those are the three things that I wear on my arms. My legs, it's always my plus 37 resilience, not restoration. I said restoration earlier. My plus 37 resilience boots, or it's I need stompies for a jumping puzzle, or I need my Orpheus rigs on. Like, my cloak is always artifice, so I can run extra mods there if I need to. I mean, my helmet and my chest piece are about the only two I could go bang out better rolls on, and I still have pretty good rolls on those. Like, with my powerful friends and stuff equipped, and radiant light and things like that, my helmet is 108. I don't really want to go change that. Nice. I've been pretty happy with my setup for quite a while.
Yeah, no, I would be too.
Christy wrote in and says, enjoying the bash, definitely better than chasing chests. I think it's easier for casual players to participate and enjoy too. Absolutely. I've not seen blueberries leave like they have the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Or people just being like, I have no idea where to go for the chests. Like last year we were all like, oh my God, they tell us where the chests are. Now it's like, oh my God, I just have to go stand at the bonfire to get my rewards. This is kind of nice.
Right.
Yodeler wrote in, says, I completed it, got the title, and infused all higher light gear to other things I'll use. Love the grind, hated the armor sets. The armor seems to be a sore point for most players. I did find someone who likes the Titan set, though. Joe likes the Titan armor.
Joe.
He got the glows and everything. I was like, man, you like the Titan set? He's like, yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of it.
Joe.
Corey is disappointed. And then our last, we got a lot of mail on this feedback. Dope Sage writes in and says, I'm kind of enjoying it. I feel like the grind should be less repetitive, or at least change the EAZ for each encounter. It makes me annoyed to run around the same spot for multiple hours without any kind of environmental difference. I totally agree. And I'm not going to let Bungie off the hook here per se, but I can understand not investing in a change when it's something that's only going to happen for 3 weeks. I just kind of like we were talking, like I go in, I do my thing, I get out. I don't want to play it for hours on end because I feel the same way. I've looked at the EAZ. This is the 4th year now. I hate this place. It's been well documented how much I hate this place.
I hate it. Get me out.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It is just, I think creatively it's an interesting space. It's just never been utilized correctly. The Cabal cannons have been a godsend on this map this time.
Yeah.
It is harder than ever to use your Sparrow around there, though. It used to be easier. It's not now. But, yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of reusing spaces that we've used before. That's why I said, like, I like the haunted lost sectors. I felt the way that you feel, Dope, the way you feel about this is the way I felt about the haunted forest. I was ready to straight up boycott the event if it was the haunted forest again. I genuinely got to a point, I think it was the 3rd year in a row that we had it. It was actually right as Beyond Light was about to come out. Haunted Forest was there again, and I think I did like 3 runs total. I just skipped the entire... I bought the armor set and then didn't play.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't take it anymore. I bought the werewolf armor set for my hunter, and then I said, nope, I'm out of here. I can't do this.
I'm out.
Yep. Whereas compare that to last year's, I banged out everything. I got every ghost story. I farmed it. It wasn't even like a particularly like incredible event. I just had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, but it was, dude, it's way better than the... Again, it's one of those events that's not great, but it's way better than what they had before, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to be like, oh, that's the gold standard. Like, I don't even think that should be the standard. We should expect better than that, but I will take areas that we've gone to before being reused and, like, rethemed to fit the event over the same space. Like, you can do something like the EAZ, but after, like, 2-3 years, okay, let's come up with something new. And I don't want to put words in Bungie's mouth, but I in the back of my mind, when they were talking about events, they said they were going to revamp one a year. Like, majorly overhaul. I really hope this is not the overhaul.
I was going to say, this didn't really feel like an overhaul. It just felt like...
This is a step forward. It's definitely a step forward. But we need to take a couple steps forward. I think this is about a half measure. Which, as long as it wasn't what we had last year, I was probably going to play it. But, like, even when we were talking about it, I was like, man, if it's the same thing as last year, I don't know what the hell this Bonfire Bash thing is. Like, I'll check that out, but I'm not playing the same event again. And I've been pleasantly surprised by this. I hope to God that the revamp that they're talking about for this year is dawning. It needs it really bad. It needs it almost as bad as Solstice. Yeah. Solstice, like, I feel like, okay, you bought yourself a little bit of time with this year, but please please, please, please get rid of the EAZ. Make some other area and keep the bonfire thing going. But I think Jesus is kind of on this. Or not Jesus, I'm sorry. I think Dope is on to something here, though, at the same time. Like, you could keep the EAZ, but let's make another arena or two. Like, you could reuse one of the arenas that we did the what do you call it in? Overrides.
Oh yeah.
You could reuse one of those arenas, like on Europa or on the Moon or so, because those were just public areas that we used.
Yeah.
You could just you could use one of those, and I'm not saying like I want it to be an open world event. Like, it definitely needs to have the matchmaking aspect of it, but and I'm not saying like any of those would be like on the level like the verticality of the EAZ or anything. But there's things that you could do if you tried.
Yeah.
And I think like it's time that we kind of embrace some of these areas that we haven't used in a while. Like, honestly, bring back one of the old Forge locations, the one on Nessus that had all the man cannons going everywhere. Bring that one back as a Bonfire Bash area. That would be a blast.
Yeah.
It's only in the game for like 3 weeks. That could be a lot of fun. Like, let's reuse some of those assets we've already made. We've already seen the Leviathan getting reused. Let's keep the train going here.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So good perspective, Dope. You changed my mind as I was ranting.
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do. But Corey, do you have any final thoughts on Solstice? Fuck the event card. I said it last week. Fuck the event card. That thing is terrible.
Yeah.
I am terrified that we're going to get more microtransactions like this.
I don't think the event card is worth it,
No.
But
no, not at all. And this is coming from a dude who was excited to buy the hot dog champ emote, and then it's funny. I've played so much Fortnite over like the last 4 months that I'm like, man, these emotes kind of suck. Like, I'm sorry, and I'm not even so like, oh, like I get music with my Fortnite ones. Like, they're just better done.
Yeah.
Question mark. And I get like they have an entire team. They have hundreds of people that only make skins and microtransactions at Epic. But
yeah, no, I get it.
When we hear that Bungie did a lot of the emotes for like the last year and a half from their garages. Yeah, it kind of looks like it.
Yeah, scary feet.
I don't mean that in like a snarky way, but we can tell. Mm-hmm. The skateboard emote in particular is bad.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed that was released. That is bad.
Yeah.
But I just like they want you to pay $10 for a ghost shell that probably 95% of its player base is never even going to think about. Mm-hmm. 2 emotes that I have yet to see anybody use, a shader that I have not seen on anybody, and a transmat effect, which you can barely tell is a transmat, and a cookie projection. Honestly, what would have got me to buy this is if you would have put that dope go-kart sparrow in the event card.
Yeah. I bought it, the go-kart sparrow.
I'm holding off. It will be up for Bright Dust in 2 weeks. The last week of the summer event, I believe it's up for Bright Dust.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on 105K. I got to spend it on something.
It's cool. It's really cool.
I think an event, like the event card, you could fix. And like, so it's funny because Johnny pointed this out to me on Twitter. I was like, #fuck the event card. And he goes, until there's some really cool cosmetics during Festival of the Lost, and then you're back in.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's like absolutely true. Like my opinion is subject to change. I just don't want to see this become a regular, and I know it's going to be a regular thing for their holiday events. If you're going to do it, like, part of me is happy that it's bad because I didn't spend another $10.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if the go-kart sparrow was there instead of like the skateboarding emote, I would have bought this package. I would have done it. Yeah. I would have done it. Like in years past, 3 years ago, if they had had this 3 years ago, the Scooty Puff Jr., the micro mini, would have 100% been in this pass. 100%. 100% would have been in it. And I don't have a problem with that. Like these, and I know that like people are going, oh, well, that stuff like that's predatory. Like, dude, a lot of y'all pay $10 for an emote without even thinking about it, or like $15 for the armor set. Like, that's on you. Like, if something like this comes around and if I feel like I'm going to get my money's worth out of it, cool. Like, I'm going to use the go-kart sparrow. If that had been in there, I 100% would have dropped the money. And I think a lot of people would have too. I think if you did something for the event card where it was like, you got, maybe instead of selling the glows individually, the glows are like the big part of the event card. You do the glows with like some other cause, like with that, a sparrow, like the good sparrow, you know, the go-kart sparrow. You can keep the ghost shell that nobody cares about. Put one of the emotes in there. The shader, the transmat effect, and the projection. That I feel like, and you would probably have to, if you put the glows in there, maybe compromise, raise it like $2. That would be a fair value for 1,200 silver.
Yeah.
Because I think the glows being $15 is absolutely ludicrous.
It's so dumb. It's so stupid.
I hate that so much. Nobody wears them year round. Nobody.
Oh no.
It's irresponsible. But if the Gundam armor that's going to come out at Thanksgiving or at Halloween was part of the event pass, again, I would buy it without question. I'm going to drop $15 on the armor for 2 classes.
Yeah.
I may just go for the triple crown because I have so much bright dust here.
Yeah.
Like, but I want more armor sets like that. Like, I want them to be kind of goofy for these events.
Yeah.
I like that the Guardian Games armor, like, it doesn't feel to everybody, but I like how minimalistic it is and how it looks like kind of like Sparrow Racing League and stuff. Like, it's like track suits. I kind of think that's cool. Solstice, I have never been able to figure out why it's glows all the time. Halloween, we should be playing dress up, man. Mm-hmm. Let me wear a Gundam body with the Aldrin O-face mask.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. it's a tale as old as time, okay? It's fantastic. I can't wait to go do some of these missions with redeemed Aldrin, and I'm wearing his fucking face on my face.
Robo Aldrin.
Triple Aldrins.
If you don't know. Oh no.
The Christmas armor is usually pretty great. Like, it's usually really ornate and things like that. Like, there's clearly a theme they're going for with each one. It's just the glows don't feel like something to celebrate for Solstice. I feel like that should be something you just get for playing Solstice. You should be able to select, like, okay, either you want your neutral glow or you want it to change with your subclasses. That should be an option within it.
Mm-hmm.
Just my 2 cents, and maybe I'm like overthinking this, and it's not possible to do that. I'm armchair developing right now, but I think that with a real armor set to earn, like the armor ornaments for the base armor, or maybe this is the one where you don't have an armor, since they do give us an armor set.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is the one where you don't do it. But even then, like, you and I have both said, we'd love to see the one that loses during Festival of the Lost voting, for example. Mm-hmm. Let us earn that one.
Yeah.
Or make the one that won earnable and let us buy the other one.
Right.
There need to be more things to earn in-game, I think. And I was really excited for the event card because I thought there were going to be free things to earn.
Mm-hmm.
And now I look at it, I'm like, there was nothing to earn out of this. This is bad. Like, they just took things that would have been in Eververse that weren't going to sell anyways and threw them all into a bundle.
Yep.
So, like, on paper, it looks like a good bundle.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you're saving a lot of money. And it would be if they were good emotes. But the emotes are supposed to carry that, and they're... Like, the hot dog one is funny for one use. That's about it. Like, I have 10 emotes of sitting that are better. That I paid money for at least one of them.
The vault one, that doesn't count.
The Atheon emote is
that doesn't
better,
count as a sitting one. That's a cool one, though.
I paid more for that than I did for the event card, and I don't regret it at all because I've never taken it off.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, though.
The Callus chair, the Callus throne chair, is great. Mm-hmm. I love that emote. Again, rarely ever take it off. I can only have 4 emotes equipped because I don't have an emote wheel.
Where's the wheel?
Two of them are sitting emotes. I'm not replacing one with a hot dog contest. Joey Chestnut does not get a place in my 4 precious emote slots.
He should.
Corey?
Yeah, Josh?
Now that I'm sufficiently worked up, let's go to the Schwab so I can get worked up again.
Oh, no. I don't like this.
We actually do have a pretty lengthy Schwab, and I kind of hate that I waited this long to get to it, but, you know, such is life.
I don't have anywhere to be until 7:30 tomorrow, so it's fine.
We got a pretty lengthy Schwab. Cosmo wrote it, because as we said last week, Dylan is out on break until September. He's taken a lot of personal time off. And I want to kind of address that here at the top of it. He did directly confirm in some tweets this week and some replies on Reddit. There was specifically a thread, I think it was 2 days ago now. You're listening to this on Friday. I think it was posted on Tuesday night or on Wednesday morning, where they said, somebody goes, I miss seeing all the Bungie replied tags on threads on here. And a lot of Bungie devs came in there, you know, to talk about things, and, you know, like, say, hey, you know, thanks for, like, because specific things were being called out. And they were like, you know, hey, thanks for like saying you really like the audio design on some of the exotics and things like that. But Dylan took a minute to say a lot of this is due directly to the harassment that we've been receiving. And he was like, I know that a lot of, because he was replying to somebody who had like 2,000 downvotes on their post at the time, who was basically telling him to suck it up and get over it. Like, you open yourself up to this by being in game dev and by being in community and being active on the internet. And he was like, he did directly confirm that some of the threats, as we suspected, were directly not just against him, but against his family. And against the studio in general, and, like, there are actually, like, very serious legal consequences that are going to play out here. But that is, they're reevaluating how they're going to communicate with the community going forward because of that. A handful of people really ruined it for everybody. And there is a subset of a certain part of the community that seems to be especially the vocal ones. Because they were out in force again today saying, like, well, you know, Bungie's, I kid you not, a tweet I actually saw directed at Liana today said that Bungie just announced 2 absolutely awful things in one Schwab, and they complained about harassment. Well, when you announce things like this, you're just asking for it at that point. And I was like, oh my, and you had the gall to tag a community manager in this.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Now, what exactly is causing that vitriol, you might ask? Corey, let's talk about raids for a minute.
Let's talk about the new raid, the Redacted.
Yeah, let's talk about Redacted. I'm still convinced that this is King's Fall, but I've shifted back to 50-50. If you're being this coy about it and you won't reveal it until 3 days before the raid comes out, it almost makes me think they're going to pull a fast one with Wrath of the Machine.
I do too, because it's an arc season. It like for me, like,
so let's look at the evidence real quick here.
Yeah.
For both. Let's look at the evidence. For Wrath, it's an arc season. People have been begging for a Siva season for a long while. We're due to go back to the Elixni and Mithrax. And they never did give us the rest of the Cosmodrome. Which we know why they nuked that.
Well, we're missing the Rocket Yard and then the Plague Lands is what we're missing.
Yes. Well, we were never supposed to get the Plague Lands. We were supposed to get the Rocket Yard, and we were supposed to get the area that connects the Rocket Yard to basically the Devil's Lair area.
Yeah.
That connects it to and the caves that connect out to Fallen Saber.
Right.
We were supposed to get that whole complex. Never got that, and you can't go back through the Divide, I don't think.
Yeah. Plus, you know what this would do? Like, I know we've been kind of talking about, you know, vaulting Earth for a while, but it wouldn't make sense to bring because they just brought the Cosmodrome back. It wouldn't make sense for them to vault the EDZ, and this would open up new areas in the Cosmodrome.
So that's what I've kind of thought, because, like, I think it's a little bit ridiculous for us to still be having, like, these cosmically major events be happening in the EDZ of all places. We've never gotten another strike added. We haven't really done anything there in a while. Like, the Battleground this season is, like, the first real, like, strike-based activity we've gotten since launch. I mean, you used to have the Black Armory Forges there. We've done stuff for the seasons there repeatedly. At a certain point, we got to stop doing things in this one little corner of, like, southern Germany or whatever it is.
Right.
The
Jolly
Cosmodrome, I like to pretend that the Cosmodrome exists like kind of outside of space and time because it's where the new lights go for the first time.
Yeah.
It's got so much Destiny 1 content there, but... And I mean, they're not going to vault the Cosmodrome because, like, Grasp of Avarice is there. You've got 3 straight. You cannot afford to lose 3 more strikes.
Right.
Without replacing them. Like, at least if you lost, like, Arms Dealer and Lake of Shadows, like, people would be mad because those are super easy to farm on GMs, but especially the enemy density is just not... The enemy density just isn't there.
Right.
You could get rid of that pretty easily, and I don't think anybody would shed a tear over not having... We would lose our easy lost sectors. We just talked about lost sector farms. I would lose my farm, and I'd be upset. But it's okay. I understand.
But they haven't vaulted anything mid expansion yet, though, right?
No,
I mean, it's always been...
No. It's always at the beginning.
Right.
For what it's worth, my bet is that we only vault one more thing this time around, and I don't think it's the EDZ, although that would make a lot of sense. I think it's the Dreaming City.
Yeah.
You can't really have the Dreaming City without the curse.
Right.
So when the curse breaks, you got to vault it, and I do think we're breaking the curse before Lightfall. We almost have to at this point.
Right.
They haven't done anything with it. We've never gotten another strike. Again, same complaints here, right? The last thing we got was fucking Wrathborn hunts.
Right.
And astral alignments. So you look at that as evidence. The one thing I would offer up as a counterpoint for why this is not coming back right now, we already have the raid exotic from it. We already have Outbreak Prime back. I know you can easily make another exotic, but that's one of those weapons that like Vex Mythoclast, like what is I keep trying to call it Crown of Sorrow. Touch of Malice. Not Crown of Sorrow, Touch of Malice. That is like entwined. You think of it with those raids. Yeah. Legend of Acreus. You think of you think of Leviathan. Anarchy, you think of the one that's comes. Obviously, like now we have raid exotics associated with like every single raid.
Right.
I think that's an important part of its identity. That's the main reason, and I do think that's a significant blow against it.
Yeah.
The evidence for King's Fall is literally everything else. They have shown that they are not above bringing back old areas for a limited time. And it's important to remember we have that little Legends tab, and that's what I want to bring attention to. Like, we've talked about this before, like Vault of Glass, you have that little slice of Venus, and you cannot explore beyond it. It's just invisible walls.
They're not invisible. You go that way, they're like the blue kind of Vex, like when you stand on the plates, like the little blue squares. They're like, nope.
The thing that I want to get at with this is like the vault. So they said whatever raid they brought back, they wanted to have some sort of like narrative significance when they brought it back. With Vault, and I see people saying like, well, Vault didn't have anything. The Vault of Glass technically exists outside of space and time. Like every time that it's beaten is technically the first time it's been beaten.
Yeah, that's like the premise for the Vex, right? I mean, it's just like
it really is. Like it's big brain shit that we're still dealing with 8 years later. King's Fall, my evidence is, and I want to pose this to you, I don't think it would be outside of the realm of possibility for Bungie to say, we're bringing back the Dreadnought for the next 2 seasons, and then we're going to revault it. You guys have to go there because Imaru is like fucking around. The Elixni are going to help you secure the ship. Imagine House Light going with you. House Light, Drifter, and Eris all working together with the Guardian. Like, I think you have that, and like,
as like the seasonal, as like the seasonal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As like a seasonal area that you can explore. But I think you could even go beyond that. And like, this is where I'm going to get really big brained here for a second.
Shield Brothers strike coming back.
That I'm getting there, Corey. You're reading my mind. We got 2 strikes given to us with the Witch Queen. Okay. And it's a far cry from. So with Beyond Light, we got one strike and we got 1 reprise strike, and then they gave us 2 the next season, and they gave us Proving Grounds eventually. So we got really 5 strikes given to us in Beyond Light after we vaulted a bunch of them. We only got 2 here. We're long overdue for another strike. We're overdue for another strike. But if you're going to keep bringing content back for Destiny 1, I think I don't think you bring back the Dark Blade. I think the Dark Blade is done. That one is done. He's back as the Light Blade.
Right.
Bring back the Shield Brothers and then give us an original strike on the Dreadnought. I'm not saying you have to give us the entire Dreadnought because I think that's completely improbable. But if you're going to bring Touch of Malice back, it would make sense that you need to do stuff on the Dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like in the raid or, at the same time, like I'd almost like Touch of Malice to be something like Divinity. You have to do extra stuff along the way to unlock it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of possibilities you can do there, and I do think it's probably going to be tied to a quest within the raid.
Mm-hmm.
It's been too long since they did one of those, and Divinity to me is still one of the most. It's the most useful exotic they've ever made for a raid. But it's also like one of the most uniquely earned that they've ever done. Like that and Outbreak Prime, original Super Stimulant, like that's kind of like the holy trinity right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd probably have to argue Bastion with the quarters of time too, but I'd like to see some changes like that. And it would make sense that they don't want to reveal either of these, because if they say King's Fall, you guys said narrative significance. We're going back to the Dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
Dreadnought's going to be explorable again.
We've
both maintained for a long time we think the Dreadnought has some sort of story significance still to be played. Like maybe it's, we know the Witness is coming. We have to stop the Witness from getting the powers of the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Something like that. And like you and I have both thrown it around on this show. What if you fight, instead of Oryx, you fight a resurrected Savathun?
Yeah, that's where I was getting ready to go. Like, what if you get to that final encounter, and instead of Oryx, like, Savathun kind of comes up and becomes the, big bad. I mean, I guess, like, you can't really change the mechanics too much from that.
No.
But it would still be really cool to see, right?
It would be really cool to see. I definitely think that there is a place and a time that could happen. I don't know that they would do that in a seasonal. This is what I keep coming back to. I don't know that they do that in a seasonal storyline, because if it's going to it's hitting 3 days into the storyline, how can you resurrect Savathun and kill her right there?
Right. You know, it'd be really cool though to have like, and I know this would be like kind of cosmetic / minor changes only, but if you had 2 versions of the raid. One where you fight.
Now that's an idea.
Where you could one would be Oryx thing, and you obviously have like Golgoroth and the War Chief and stuff like that. But like then maybe you switch up the enemies, like instead of Taken, they're Scorn, or instead of Hive, right? Like I mean, you could do something like that, and then fight Savathun at the end, and like obviously like the main encounters would not change, right? Like, I mean, you can't really do that. I mean, I guess they could, but I mean, realistically, they won't do that, right? But you can change it just enough, right? Like they used to do strikes. Like, oh, well, this is the Taken version of the strike. This is the, Vex version. I think that would be super cool.
I think that would be cool. I would like that. That would be kind of big brain. That'd be beyond anything that I think Bungie has done before, obviously.
Do it, Bungie. Free idea.
We've seen them do it with strikes, though, where in Destiny 1 you had the regular version, then you had the Sivified version.
Yeah.
Where you had, like, a Taken version.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's definitely possible, and it would let you reuse some of that older content in new ways.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be like overly shocked if that happened. For the record, I'm 60-40. I think it's 60% King's Fall, 30% Wrath of the Machine, 20% Crota's End. I think or 10% Crota's End, whatever the percentage I have left. 20%, I guess. Crota's End, whatever.
Math's hard.
Like, yeah, I can't math. Whatever. I think there is a very, very slim chance that it's Crota's End, but I believe Joe Blackburn said that would. If that came back, he wants to bring it back, but if that came back, it would never come back as a raid.
Yeah. It's too small. Like, I mean, even some of the dungeons at this
point. It's a dungeon. It's a straight up
longer.
Dungeon.
It's longer than that, right? I mean,
yeah, it's a straight up dungeon at this point, which there's nothing wrong with that. But
I mean,
it's a dungeon.
I did see. I think we talked a little bit last week about it, but I did see Glad tweet something out about like, just hear me out. What if they brought Crota's End back, but they actually finished the raid? Did they? Was that raid like notoriously not finished? Was that like something people were talking about at the time?
It felt a little... So, from what I understand, Crota's End was supposed to be the original raid that launched. Like, Crota's End, to my knowledge, and I want to attribute the source correctly, I believe it was a chapter in Jason Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, Pixels. He has a Destiny chapter in there. I believe Vault of Glass was coming in real hot when it came out. Like, it almost didn't make the original game. Crota's End was done before Vault of Glass. Like, Crota's End was done the summer before Destiny came out.
Right.
By the time we were playing the beta, Crota's End was locked and loaded. Like, it was ready to go, because we know now everything that was in Dark Below, House of Wolves, and Taken King was, with the exception of maybe the Prison of Elders and like the Taken King raid, was supposed to be in the base game.
Right, and like remember the whole thing was like, depending on what race you were, you started on a different planet. That was like the original plan.
Yes.
And which is why Europa is in the concept art.
Yeah,
because I think Exos were actually supposed to start there, and then somehow, like, after
Deepstone Crypt has been a concept since the earliest days.
Yeah, and then you kind of, the story kind of converges onto Mars, but then like obviously Crota and the Taken King stuff was supposed to be like, that original. Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of talking in circles.
Yeah, no. Like, I want to give some rationale for why we're talking the way that we are. I still think it's King's Fall. I don't think you can go wrong though with King's Fall or Wrath. Like, I would be a little bummed if it wasn't King's Fall, just because I want to experience that for the first time again.
Especially with the new super mechanics. Like, how's that going to change without,
Well, with the new super mechanics, like how does Well of Radiance change this? How does Subclass 3.0 change it? Things like Divinity. I'm very excited to see how. I mean, that would be a raid where you really can't use Divinity on the main boss.
Right.
I'd be excited to see how that gets handled. There's a lot of potential for both of these, though, and I think it would both of them would almost demand opening a new area of the map up, which would be exciting also, because we've never really gotten that. After the Leviathan, anything's possible as far as I'm concerned. Literally anything's possible. Like that, this is Season of the Reused Asset, and I reused in a decent way. I don't think it's like incredible, but it's been reused in a decent enough way.
Right.
But the big reason why people are upset about this, like kind of circling back to that, this raid is the first one since Garden of Salvation that is coming out on a Friday and not on a Saturday.
Yeah, I saw that.
It is launching at Daily Reset on Friday, August 26th, 2022. And they told us they will not tell us what raid it is until the showcase, because they want to keep it a secret. I don't personally have a problem with this. Our day one group that I run with, like me, Joe, Nerd, Johnny, a couple of our buddies, all kind of collectively decided after Vow of the Disciple, when we weren't even getting hit with the error codes like everyone else, just like, man, we spend like 10 hours at this only to get like to the second or third encounters, and on day one, and it's just like, you know what? Nah, we'd rather just wait 24 hours and then come in totally ready to go. There's probably some strats out. We'll know what kind of gear we need to infuse up. Your artifact is re-enabled. Like, we're not going for worlds first. As long as I can still earn my jacket, cool. Like, an emblem is not going to sway me to go do it on day one.
Right.
I do understand why there are a lot of people very upset that this is happening on a Friday. And Bungie did offer some clarification outside of the TWAB on that. Liana made a pretty good thread about it, and she was replying to a lot of people saying that this was largely in response to the issues they had during Vow of the Disciple. Infamously, they had to extend it 24 hours, contest mode.
Right.
Which then interfered with a lot of us normal people who wanted to get our clear on the weekend.
Right.
Because now we no longer had Saturday and Sunday like we usually do. We just had Sunday afternoon. And that was very we were not able to get our team reassembled.
Right.
I went and got a clear on we got a clear on Sunday, but everyone else had to kind of tag in on Monday night.
Right.
if that. Like, some of them didn't even get it till the next week. And that's kind of infuriating. So she was like, basically, like, we don't want to force our team to work on their days off. And it requires a lot of people, all hands on deck, in case the raid and the servers and stuff go down during the raid.
Right.
We would basically, it's basically like, we know there's going to be significantly less people engaging with it on a Friday. But I think that also allows the server capacity to ramp up as North America starts getting off work.
Right. And people aren't on call to come in and fix it too, right? I mean, that
they aren't on call. She's like, we don't want to force them to come in on weekends. And they're like, well, this is screwing those of us who can't, take off days. To that, I would say I see both sides of it because, like, for example, my girlfriend's schedule is set 6 weeks in advance.
Right.
It's like she would not be able to get off.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is an essential worker. She would not be able to get that time off if she cared about doing day one, and that would be really frustrating. There are entire raid teams falling apart right now because people are like, I don't want to take a day of vacation for this. I can't rearrange things. I work a job where I cannot take off. Like, there's one who she's an on-call nurse, and she's like, I'm a charge nurse that night. I absolutely cannot take off that day from work. Mm-hmm. There is nobody to fill in for me, and that's frustrating. But I also see Liana's point of, well, when we do it on weekends, there's people who work Saturdays and Sundays who can't do it either. She's like, this now affords them a chance to maybe do it. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody will always get screwed no matter what. I mean, for God's sake, when we launch it, it's the middle of the night in, like, Australia.
Yeah.
It's 7 or 8 o'clock at night in the UK. Mm-hmm. And God forbid you live in, like, Eastern Europe or something. Like, we're launching it, like, 9, 10 o'clock their time.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to play all through the night if they want to get worlds first. And somebody is getting screwed no matter what day, what time you do it. This just keeps going back to my thing of, I think contest mode should always be a selectable thing. Like, once worlds first happens, boom, unlock the regular raid for all of us. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep doing contests to get that emblem in, like, the first 48 hours or something, go for it.
I think it should be choosable, right? Like, after worlds first,
like,
I think it should be.
So my idea has always been, have the normal emblem, okay? Have your 24-hour emblem. Have one that signifies that you did it on challenge at any time. There is nothing in this game that prepares you for doing a challenge mode day one raid. Mm-hmm. There is not a single thing. Grandmasters don't hold a candle to this.
Right.
Master raids and master dungeons don't really hold a candle to this.
Right.
I would like for that. If that was an option, then yeah, maybe I'd go work on encounters and, like, strategies and things like that to be better prepared. But I mean, like, my team can't assemble on a Friday. Literally all of us are at work. Mm-hmm. So we're going to convene at daily reset on Saturday and go for it from there. Like, I can wait an extra 24 hours to do the raid to make sure that we can all at least have parts of our weekend. So, you guys should be familiar with this already, but it's just like Vault of Glass. Contest mode for 24 hours, 1560 power to be at the cap for all the encounters. That's not bad at all. That means, like, the second contest mode is gone, that's going to be a breeze.
Yeah.
That's going to be an absolute, because the pinnacle cap this season is 1570. You're already going to be able to be working towards 1580. You're going to have the artifact enabled. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Right.
Clearing the raid with contest mode active is the first step to access the new challenge mode in the director and the special triumph for completing all the challenge triumphs in each encounter. Completing the secret triumph, which is a curated list of challenges in the newly unlocked challenge mode, will be how a fire team crosses worlds first. Blah, blah, blah. So, have fun.
Have fun, everybody.
Let's talk the big topic this week.
Big topic.
Starting in Season 18, we're introducing some changes in how we play Matchmaker in the Crucible. This is the first iteration of a larger plan going through Season 19. Our world system teams are leading the charge on this transition and are here with a big info dump on what to expect. So, this is an extremely, extremely long section. This is where I'm going to tell you guys to do what we always do. Open it up and read along with us. I'm gonna read the notes here. I'll stop and explain along the way as we need to, but yeah. So it's been discussed with a lot of passion and goodwill in many places around the community and inside Bungie. We're going to give you a clear TLDR before we get deeper into the how and why. So the bullet points here. We're striving towards a goal that all players, including new lights, can enter the Crucible and regularly get matches where they can feel competitive and have a reasonable chance of winning or competing. Making fair matches using skill-based matchmaking is going to be important to help meet that goal. We're starting by implementing loose skill-based matchmaking to the Control playlist at the start of Season 18. Loose skill-based has a wider starting skill similarity than Survival and should result in matching with a wider variety of players, while also eliminating some of the frustrations we see in our current system. Expect this loose skill-based system to expand to other playlists in future seasons as we tune what we consider a high-quality match by gathering real data and feedback from you. We are not planning to add it to every match-made Crucible list. We will continue tuning until we are in a good place. We will report updates regularly. We will be implementing a form of fire team size preferred matchmaking in Season 19. A lot of what follows is pretty in-depth. Please feel free to skip to the tuning section below if you aren't interested in the details and just want a high-level view of what you will be experiencing. So let's talk about the TLDR here, because we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of absolutely everything. That's what those bullet points are there for you to go down and read them yourselves. I'll skim it, read anything out that we need to. Skill-based matchmaking is something of like a swear in PvP activities, I feel. You either want it or you absolutely hate it. And I find that you tend to hate, the more you hate it, is probably the better you are at FPS games, competitive FPS. I do not see any way that a game like Destiny can continue to have a thriving Crucible community without skill-based matchmaking.
Right.
Flat out, I'm going to say this. When they say they're not adding it to every single playlist, the two that I do not see them adding it to is whatever the Glory rework becomes and Trials of Osiris.
Yeah.
At least initially. I would not be shocked if it started making its way towards Trials of Osiris. But to do that, you would have to abandon the cards and completely revamp Trials. Again, I do expect this to be in not only Control, because that's the base playlist.
Right.
I expect this to go to Rumble next.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very surprised if it was not in Rumble eventually. I expect it to go into Momentum Control. And I don't think it won't go to things like Mayhem. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll go to Team Scorched. Maybe it will go to Supremacy if Supremacy comes back.
Oh man, I miss Supremacy.
Which is the 66 Crests mode.
Yeah, I miss Supremacy. I like Supremacy.
And this is where people are going to get upset with me.
Uh-oh.
I see it going to Iron Banner in Season 19.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because you do not emphasize new lights without having just made this huge deal about Iron Banner being accessible to everyone. I think that it needs to go to Iron Banner also.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I understand why a lot of higher level players are going to be very upset about this. It will be a lot harder for them to likely go in and either solo or team stomp other people.
Mm-hmm.
The most fun I've ever had in the Crucible, I swear to God, was before they took out skill-based matchmaking. I had matches that genuinely felt competitive, but also that, like, man, if I was really rolling, if I was getting in there with, Johnny and our buddy Phil, or, like, Max or something, this is before I was playing with Nerd and Joe even.
Yeah.
Like, I was having a great time, but not everything was always a stomp for us. We were getting stomped. There were a lot of times where we got stomped, a lot of nights.
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely had more fun.
Right.
And that's something that I think's been missing from Crucible for so many people for so long. Like, I see people dread Crucible almost as much as they do Gambit these days, and that's a sad place for this to be at, because I think Destiny PvP, with the abilities and with the supers, with the abilities, with the exotic combinations you can do with weapons, like things like Witherhoard and Laurelly Splendor and Shards of Galanor, like there are so many unique things. Nova Warps, Thunder Crashes. There's so many unique things in this game that you don't find anywhere else. For the community to be like, oh, I don't want any part of this, is bad. That is a failure of game design at that point. That is a failure of the community aspect. Crucible should be something that is fun and not. You should not be ultra sweaty in something like Control. Or maybe Momentum is a little bit sweatier because that's supposed to be SWAT, right? Maybe that's a little bit sweatier. But things like Control, Mayhem, those should not be sweaty.
Right.
And I think them taking this approach, I'm curious in the wait and see approach, because the community managers were talking about this earlier, and I've seen some PvP people I really respect, specifically Ascendant Nomad, talk about this today, being like, we're going to cautiously watch this. But he's like, I'm optimistic, and I want to find exactly what he said, because it was really, what he said was really, really good earlier. Okay, if my search bar wants to load.
Search bar.
Yeah, the Twitter search bar is so bad. He had a good take, and I want to read this out when I find it. 1, good players should not be punished for being good with longer queue times and worse connections. 2, bad players should not be able to constantly bottom frag or be outplayed every game. Or excuse me, bad players should be able to not constantly bottom frag or be outplayed every game. The changes seem to understand this in theory. The rest is in execution. Let's see. I am ultimately on side whatever gets people playing more Crucible. Matchmaking changes alone won't deliver that, but I hope it will make it more bearable when people do step in. This is the page I am on right now. I am 100% on this page. Making something like the Crucible accessible to more people is what has to happen. That's why we went from 4 people. That's why they changed the original 4v4 of Destiny 2 to 6v6 again. It is because of that, like largely because of that, right? And that's why some of these maps feel so cramped in 6v6. I am cautiously optimistic about some of these changes, because I really do. Again, I do like skill-based matchmaking for the most part in my games. But I don't know how you fix comp. And I think that's going to be part of a bigger discussion that I suspect we will hear about the changes that are coming to comp, at least like the first hints at changes during the State of the Game on the 23rd of August. That is when we got the Trials revamp details. I expect it to happen then for the Survival playlist, or whatever the Glory playlist ultimately becomes. Like, there needs to be some ranking system. Destiny is like one of the very few FPSs that just does not have a ranking system. You look at any other competitive FPS, and it has, like we just said, ranking systems. You need that in a competitive mode, and I think that they're finally starting to grasp that. I want to go down to some of these higher, some of these bullet points here. Some of the goals we'll be working on over the next few seasons. All players, including new lights, can enter the Crucible and regularly get matches where they feel competitive. All players, whether solo or with a fire team, can find a place in the Crucible where they can play a variety of matches and have a reasonable chance of winning. We are defining reasonable as expected win rate between 40 and 60% for most matches. I think that's fair. Players are rewarded based on their skill and proud of their skill. Reserve a place for players who do not want to engage in the skill system. Generally speaking, any matchmaking in a competitive multiplayer game tends to put together high-quality matches. We consider 3 things when assembling a high-quality match: connection quality, match fairness, matchmaking speed. You can go read those. If you need more explanation on those, it's there.
I don't know, Josh. I think you should read it all.
I'm not reading it all. Despite having a Gatorade, I'm not reading them all. When matchmaking, we must balance these 3 elements. If we want to lower matchmaking speed, we are to need matches that are less fair or matches with a lower connection quality. We will continue tuning to find the best balance possible. Skill. Throughout this TWAB, we will be using the term skill. In Destiny, the term refers to how we rate all players who participate in PvP on a scale of 2,000. Player skill is reflected in a graph that looks like this. Internally, skill is a combination of stats made up of your performance, which includes kills, deaths, captures, round wins, revives, dunks, etc., that ranks you against all the other players in a match. Each player's skill is compared against the skill of the other players in a match, and we make skill adjustments for all players at the end of a match where the 2 rankings differ. There's also a confidence rating. The more games the system has seen you in recently, the more confident the skill adjustment is. In addition to the stats mentioned, skill encompasses all sorts of things: reaction times, agility, how you approach fights, how well you know the map and mode, how well you know your character, build your character, weapons, armor, mods, and how you blend all those into performance with other players. You won't ever actually see a skill value in-game, and while we're currently only using it to try to get fairer matches in survival and elimination, we still track it for all modes, including Gambit. This gives us a reasonable starting spot in new game types like Rift or Zone Control. So, for example, If someone is 200 skill above you, you definitely can tell they are better than you. They will win 75% of engagements against you. The opposite is true if someone is 200 or more below you. By the time you get to a difference of 400, the better players are going to win 90% of engagements, and lower skilled players need to get extremely lucky to pull off a win. Once you get to a difference of 600, there is basically zero chance for lower skilled players to ever win a 1v1 conflict. Engagements should get fairer the closer you get to the same skill, and that is the goal. The problem space. And here is where this is where I think people are going to get upset, because parts of the PvP community are going to get called out here. As we started looking at the competitive landscape, we noticed a few things. Outside of survival and elim, the ability to influence whether your team wins or loses is usually out of your personal control if you are average skill or below, which is over half the population. This can feel bad as the match outcome feels essentially random and you don't feel motivated to try to win. This contributed to us de-emphasizing winning as a requirement to gain rewards in the Crucible. The current landscape also allows brand new players to match up with some of the highest skill veterans and are expected to compete. On the flip side, if you are highly skilled, you are often put on a team where it feels like you are carrying them and must constantly perform if you want to stand a chance at winning. This doesn't feel good for anyone. In Control, skill disparities on a team can be stark. Over 50% of matches have a disparity 900 or more between the best and worst player, which is so significant the outcome is already known before a single shot is fired. On the other hand, in Freelance Survival, 60% of matches have a 250 difference or less. This is much more reasonable. There's a control graph here that you can take a look at in returns to time limit, objective met, mercy, or match quit for how matches end. Disparities in skill also exacerbate other problematic elements, such as trapping a single team in a spawn becomes significantly easier, and it is much more likely that one team is dead at the same time, freeing the other side to roam around and look for new targets without having to worry about danger. Because of extreme factors, no matter your skill, it becomes hard to tell if you're improving or not. Was that a great player, or are they just a worse player than me? You may quite reasonably look for other stats to demonstrate how good you are. Kills, assists, and deaths, your KDA, are great, but it's still unclear how good your opponents are. Given that matchmaking is dependent on lots of factors, KDA in a low population situation can mean a very different thing skill-wise than the KDA in a normal or high population scenario. You can check third-party sites that track ELO. ELO isn't something we track, use, or validate, so it's a use-at-your-own-risk data point. If you can't tell if you're improving, it's hard to be motivated to improve. We know we have to do something to solve these problems and more to get Crucible into a better place. We know we won't be able to address everything in Season 18, but this is the start of an ongoing process. Match balancing, you should gather what that is by now. Skill-based matchmaking. At the start of Season 18, we're going to start tuning match fairness back up in Control and only Control in the Crucible. We want to slowly limit the number of playlists we consider when tuning matchmaking with hundreds of thousands of people. We can do some testing, but nothing can fully simulate how the full population will be affected by these changes before we ship. We're going to be live tuning the matchmaking parameters over the first few weeks until we land on something that provides a better balance between fairness, quality, and speed. We will not touch any other Crucible playlist during Season 18. Trials has no planned changes to its matchmaking. Illumination and Glory will still use the same skill-based matchmaking they have been using, and everything else will still use connection-based. We are currently planning to make further adjustments in Season 19 based around the listed goals, but rest assured any major changes will be communicated in a TWAB or a blog post as well as the patch notes. Connection-based matchmaking, if you need the definition, it's there. Same with skill-based. Our initial version of loose skill-based matchmaking for Control is going to work a little differently. It starts with wider acceptable skill variants and expands very slowly on acceptable skill and connection quality at the same time. The goal statement is start with a broad definition of match fairness and compromise on matchmaking speed in order to keep match fairness and connection quality high. We expect overall matchmaking times to go up, more so if you and your fire team are at either end of the skill curve, depending on the current population in your region. However, we're hoping the trade-off for matches that aren't super sweaty or lopsided will be worth it. What are we going to be looking at as we tune? Matchmaking time, mercy games, final score differential, and less variance between the top player and bottom player. There are some things for skill distribution if you really want to know numbers. Fire team size mismatches. This is kind of the final thing. And I want to read this out and kind of share any final thoughts. No mystery that full fire teams often stomp 6 solo players who match against them. Fire teams that are used to playing together may also be in voice chat with each other, allowing them to communicate more effectively than those who are not. Oddly enough, if we look at the average skill for solo players, it fits the bell curve form above clearly. If we look at average skill for full fire teams in Control, we can see the bell curve centers around 400 to 500. So not only do the fire teams have a communication advantage, they also have a decisive skill advantage. The big question is, are high skill players more inclined to play in fire teams, or do regular fire teams make your skill go up? Either way, we are implementing a form of fire team size preferred matching in Season 19. We will be sharing details about how it works closer to release. Our goal is for it to be utilized like skill. Something is a strict requirement, sometimes is a strict requirement, sometimes is a loose one, or sometimes not used at all. Further, it will allow us to eventually replicate the benefits of playing in a freelance playlist without having to split the population. All of that being considered, on paper, this sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
This sounds good. I don't know if it's going to be, but I mean, and admittedly, I'm biased. I like skill-based matchmaking personally. Connection-based, I think, is rough because connection-based just doesn't seem to work. I see players glitching around all the time.
Yeah.
They clearly do not have they don't have a good connection at all. I think that's a problem, and I think that's also partially with, the older consoles maybe.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how the community reacts to this. It being in Control, when Control's kind of the main mode of Crucible, there's going to be a lot of chances. I expect everybody to just absolutely freak out on day one of Season 18, scream about how that's just the worst thing ever. Probably have to have a whole nother lecture about how people said a whole bunch of shit to the Bungie devs again. And I wish I, wasn't serious about that, but it's probably going to happen. Mm-hmm. That is almost exactly how the 23rd is going to play out.
Yep.
That first week is just, oh man. I feel bad for moderators of any online community to discuss this Destiny right now.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the Bungie guys that are using Twitter because it's going to be real bad for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like starting right now, it's going to be bad for a while. It's gonna be bad for about a week. It's gonna die off. This seems like it's going to be a classic case of the community overreacts before they can play something.
Yeah.
And they're making it abundantly clear that the version we get at launch is not the final version of this.
Yeah.
That's why this is soft launching with only one playlist in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like you said, on paper, I think it's great, right? Like I prefer skill based. I just feel like I have a better time playing in a competitive match, and I feel like I have a chance to win. But at the same time, I think some things sound better on paper from this game, and then they come out, and then it's not as expected. But I think this is a little bit different than some of those things, right? Like I think
Absolutely.
This is just a system, especially like what you said with like encouraging new lights to play all the game modes, and you get sucked into like, especially later in an expansion or a season or something when some people may have dropped off and only the hardcore are playing, right? Like, my nephew got the latest expansion and we're 2.5 seasons in. Maybe he wants to try Crucible. Maybe he's never played a competitive thing before, right? But like, man, I don't know. I just, I like this though. I know some people will be mad, but I like this personally.
Yeah, I know. I honestly don't have a problem with this.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how it plays out. I will be eagerly awaiting it. I will definitely be playing some Crucible that week so that I can come in and give some impressions.
Yeah, I will. I think.
Let's let me see if there's anything else here before we get to a couple listener questions that we had this week.
Lots of
Eternity will be the next Trials of Osiris map. You had a chance to vote on it. There is an emblem that there is a emblem you can claim through Bungie rewards starting next week after reset on August 2nd. There's new Prime Gaming bundle. That's really about all that we got here.
Yeah. But Josh, before we move on into questions,
yes,
I did put out a poll on Twitter.
Yes, we need to talk about the poll results.
So I asked people what console they were playing on, right? Base PS4, Xbox One, Xbox One X, or PS4 Pro, or Xbox Series, PS5, PC. We didn't have very many votes. Overwhelming majority picked Xbox Series, PS5, and PC. And then we had a few comments. Someone's playing on an Xbox One S and says the experience is fine. It only chugs on a Vault of Glass, which is probably expected. Some people are playing on PS4 Pros. This person says PS4 Pro here, have a Series S, but cross-saved. The cross-save is messed up, so I can't play it there right now. I'm trying to hunt down a PS5 at some point. Pro tip on cross-save, if you unlink all of your accounts to your Bungie account and reconnect them, that should do it. Sometimes it takes about... I know there's like a 90-day limit on reconnecting some accounts, but... yeah. This person said, drop down from a PS5 to a Destiny Edition PS4. So it seems a few people are still playing on at least Xbox One.
The Stadia comment was my absolute favorite.
I know, and they didn't vote. Stadia.
I laughed very, very hard at that, for the record.
I did too. That was pretty funny. That was pretty good. Pretty good.
We found the one Stadia. We found the one Stadia player.
They should get a prize just for playing on Stadia. I don't know what it is, but I'll send them a disc of Destiny 2. That doesn't work.
Yeah, Alex Kruger's the one who wrote in on that one, and I'm sorry that we made fun of Stadia.
I'm not. It's Stadia, dude. By the way, I saw Stadia and Luna commercials this week.
That's wild. I always forget that Luna is actually a thing.
Yeah, I do too. And it's free with your Prime subscription, apparently. The base.
You asked another question. You asked a couple questions this week about, was there anything you guys want to see us do more of? We got some feedback, such as like a Discord. Andre over here, a Discord, so we can gather from across the stars to help out each other. Some pins, and then merch, stickers, or anything Josh doesn't want. Listen, I don't know what you're referring to here. None of my toys are for sale, Andre. Okay, none of my merch is for sale. And then we had Jesus said TikTok, discovered a few new pods just by scrolling through TikTok, and of course Johnny is asking for an OnlyFans. Christy wants an it's been a week t-shirt. I made sure I did not say it tonight because I'm not going to let y'all hold that one over my head. That's ending now.
Gosh, no, it's not. It's not ending. It's going to be a thing forever.
It's ending. I'm like secretly going to title the next episode that I host by myself. It's been a week. We did have we had a few questions though.
Yeah.
Let's do some questions.
All right, let's do it. We like
so
questions.
Andre writes in your favorite class, helmet, exotic, and your favorite ornament for it, and give me a time where it came in clutch for you. I think Corey and I have really basic answers here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You go first, Josh. What's your...
I mean, Celestial Nighthawk.
Yeah.
It's Celestial Nighthawk. I like the Plague Doctor mask that I got a couple years ago for it.
Ooh, that's cool.
I like the Plague Doctor one. I really like the bird one though too, because it's just like really creepy.
Yeah.
Especially if you put a shader on eyes, like just blood red. When did Celestial Nighthawk not come in clutch is my question. Since OG Atheon, it's been coming in clutch.
Right.
So I don't really have like a specific instance. I did have one where I shot it. I think it was at Galron, and I did so much damage that it just stopped counting. It topped out at the 999,000 mark. That was back when they had to like cap the damage so that it didn't like break the game.
Right.
Of some of the numbers that could show up. I do remember doing that. Just like the health went from boop boop It was always fun seeing that happen on like that or on Insurrection Prime.
Yeah.
But yeah, Celestia Nighthawk, way too many times to count that's coming clutch for me. But it's usually the opening salvo of damage.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Corey.
I mean, for
go
me.
Go ahead and say it. We all know it. We all know what's coming.
Dune marches. No.
Dune marchers on his head.
Helmut Stain 14, obviously. Like, I mean, the bubble comes in clutch so many times.
So many times.
Like, especially when you're in a raid boss encounter and like all your team's like, I'm dying. I'm gonna die. Everybody's been there where like half of your team's like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. And then you pop the bubble and everybody just hides right in the bubble for like 2 seconds while you recharge and then go back out with weapons and armor of light. Just saying. Helmut Stain 14 never comes off.
Never comes off. I don't even think that there's not even an ornament for it.
There's one.
Oh, there is. Okay.
But it's like because the perk is called headbutt, I think, is the perk, and what that means, like when the enemies walk into your bubble, they automatically become stunned, I guess is what you call it. Yeah. So, and what, like the ornament, one side of it, there's a big crater in the side of it with like bullet holes and just this big chunk of the helmet taken out.
They should make one that's the skull from Mithrax's story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually shocked cool. That wasn't one when that came out.
That's free money, man. Yeah. That would have been great for this season too to release. Just saying. Our next question comes from Joasis. Ooh. What activity or quest are you most proud of completing in Destiny? For me, it's getting Conqueror last season and then getting it gilded in a day this season. Also, finally beating Skolas in Destiny 1.
Oh, no. Skolas. That's a pretty big achievement.
Skolas, hands down. For Destiny 1, hands down Skolas.
Yeah, I mean, Skolas...
There's not even, like, you could just play yakety sax over my run for 30 minutes running around in circles around that arena. Yeah, just trying to stay alive. That's basically how I felt there. It's like a carnival.
Yeah. In
terms of D2, like, man, I wanted to say Conqueror for this one so bad because I just got it. But it's like, it's more of like relief that I got that, not like I'm actually proud of doing it.
Yeah.
For me, it would probably be earning my Wayfinder seal back in Forsaken. You had the 1 year to do it, and then it went away.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Wayfarer is the one that I would come down on. I really, really like. I treasure that one. That's one of the few seals that I leave sitting out. Is my Wayfinder one. It's in the living room, but
yeah. I mean, for me, D1, it's either Skolas or the hard mode raid for King's Fall, where we got it down. We got hard mode King's Fall down to 45 minutes a run, and like we were just like super committed to the point where like by the time Rise of Iron came out, we were kind of burned out of raiding because we did it so much. Like we literally did it with every character 3 times a week. And then D2, I don't know, like for me, Destiny, the way I play Destiny kind of changed after I had kids.
Yeah.
And, got married and stuff because like I don't have all that time anymore. So I haven't really done a lot of challenging things. I think just doing a raid would be, that for me. Like when we did Scourge of the Past before it was vaulted, like that was, for me, that was like so much fun because I hadn't done it in a while. And raiding is the best thing to do in Destiny, hands down, to me. The dungeon, I mean, don't get me wrong, the dungeons are great substitutes for people who don't have 6 people to get together at one time, but there's nothing like a raid in Destiny. And Leviathan was fine but not great. you know, Deepstone Crypt is really fun. Vault is fun. But just get, like, after, like, a year, I think, or two of not raiding at all and getting my feet wet with Scourge of the Past was, like... And I know it's not exactly a hard raid at all, but it was still fun to get back in and getting the feet wet and learning new raid mechanics and seeing new things you hadn't seen before and all that stuff. Now all those robot bosses are, like, all over Europa, but
robot bosses are all the rage now.
I know.
We have one final question. Jesus writes in, I'm interested to answer this one. What if one of the Destiny spin-off games was like Stray, but instead of a cat, you control a ghost?
I mean, that'd be kind of interesting, I guess, to, like, find your guardian as a ghost. That'd be really kind of interesting.
So I'm of two minds on this. One, I like the idea, but I think I'd like it better as, like, a mobile title that was, like, maybe 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy that. Something kind of along the lines of, I don't know if you ever played Flower on PS4 and Vita back in the day.
Yeah.
And PS3. Something like that that's like a 40-minute experience maybe.
Yeah.
Would be kind of cool. Searching various planets for your guardian. The game I would like to see in the form of Stray, but instead of a ghost, I would like to control, like, a red jack that's trying to get back to Shaxx or something.
Yeah.
Or, like, no, give me the sweeper bot. Give me the sweeper bot.
What, where all you do is sweep the tower? It's like that, what was that game where you played, like, you were, like, the janitor of, like, where you just clean up the mess of, like, mass murders? Or, like,
oh, I don't remember. No, I have no idea.
What was that game called where you play as the janitor of, like, it was like a vampire game, but you were the person that cleaned up the mess instead of the person that made it?
Give me Power Wash Sim in Destiny 2.
Oh, no.
I've been playing a lot of Power Wash Sim.
Yeah? How is it?
It's on Game Pass, so I like it.
Nice. Yeah, I hear good things.
It's very soothing.
Yeah?
Yeah, and, like, infuriating at the same time.
So I'm finding this game called Janitor Bleeds, but that's not it. It's definitely not it. Oh, well. I don't really care that much. It's fine.
All right. Let's hit the lore corner before we have an announcement to close out the show.
Ooh, an announcement.
I have an announcement to make to close out the show, yes.
Oh, no. Should I be scared?
So, no.
Oh.
Trust me, you're aware of what it is.
Oh, okay.
So let's go here. I talked about Caliban's Hand a little bit. I've really been enjoying it, and I like the lore behind it. It kind of gives a little bit more insight to the Hunter Vanguard position. So, Caliban's Hand. Caliban 8 had the singular misfortune of winning the position of Hunter Vanguard in a card game he didn't even play. All he'd done was deal the hand that lost Tallulah Fairwind's bet and her life to an Ahamkara. Not a day went by where he didn't wish he'd cheated. At least then the Wish Dragon might have killed him as well. Now he sat as the second Hunter Vanguard in the city's history, chained to a desk in the tower. Responsible for a breed of guardians notorious for their unwillingness to answer communications or follow directions. Lula knew how to inspire a sense of camaraderie in them, but Caliban? He was just a guy who was dealt the wrong hand. Leaning back in his chair, he flipped a light-heated knife between his fingers and tossed it up into the ceiling. Its molten edge slid into the steel and instantly cooled, stuck alongside the other half-dozen blades he'd previously used to deface his office. It had been a slow afternoon. A light knock at his door caught his attention. An unassuming figure, robed and masked in white, stood at the entrance to the room. "Hard at work, I see," remarked the speaker. Caliban scoffed as he got to his feet. "Not sure what you expect me to do from behind a desk. You know how hunters are." The speaker nodded, then looked up to the ceiling. "How many knives do you have up your sleeve, Caliban?" "About that many," he joked, pointing upward. "Then it seems you must get up and collect them," the speaker mused. "Much like your hunters." Caliban began to reply, but for once he didn't know what to say. The speaker turned from the doorway and called out over his shoulder. "Take your time, Caliban. The desk will be here still when you return." I like this because it kind of like sets the tone for how Andal Brask and Cade 6 would eventually be, right?
Right.
Just kind of like the latest in this like long line of people who didn't want the job and they're stuck with it. The exotic is completely ridiculous. There's 4 flaming knives on it, for God's sake. This thing looks absurd, but it's great. I love it. I don't really have anything to add. I just think that's the first time we've heard from the speaker in quite a while, too.
Yeah. Man,
I tried to do my best Bill Nighy impression there.
How many people right now that play Destiny, how many of them do not know who the speaker is?
Oh, a lot. And on top of that, is this the same speaker that we knew, or is this a different speaker? There's some food for thought.
Oh, no.
Candescent Helm. Shax shakes his head as he watched the Crucible match play out on screen. Bravo Team's Warlock has been revived by their Ghost 3 times in 30 seconds, and by the looks of things, they're well on their way to a 4th. It's a shameful display, and the rest of Bravo seems to be getting fed up with it. Tough match, huh? Shax turns to see Ikora Ray, her eyes fixed on the screen as well. Tough for that Warlock's team, Shax sighs. They've eaten full shotgun blast to the chest, a hunter's knife to the face, and even got disintegrated by their own grenade. Ikora replies absently. Bet you 500 glimmer that they rally. Shax tilts his head at her. Are you serious? I'm always serious, she replies, arched brow. After a moment, Shax nods. All right, I'll take that bet. They turn their attention back to the match. The Warlock is caught in an explosion, revived, impaled on a glaive, revived, falls off the edge of the arena, revived. And then they land a headshot. And another, then another. They stick close to a member of Bravo, drawing fire so that their teammate can release a fusion rifle burst right into their opponent. Shax watches in awe as the Warlock shapes their light into a flaming sword and takes to the sky, raining fire down on Alpha Team. When the smoke clears, Bravo ekes out a narrow victory. How did you know? Shax asks as he hands the glimmer to Ikora. That Warlock stayed in the match, she replies. Never bet against someone who won't quit. Again, don't really have anything to offer here. Just given that we discussed Crucible at length here, I felt like that was pretty fitting for us to close on this. Ikora Ray, Legend of the Crucible. I'm just leaving this really, really, really wanting more Shax dialogue rather than me having to try and impersonate Lenny James.
Yeah. Man. Where's Shax? We need a Shax season.
We need a Shax season. I've been pushing for it. I gotta think that he's going to get one during Lightfall. He's the only real NPC who hasn't gotten focus in a season.
Yeah. Called it's Season of the Horn.
It's like him, Hawthorne. Yeah. Him and Hawthorne basically have the 801. The three of them haven't done anything.
Hawthorne was a pretty big part of the Red War, though.
Well, okay. In like the last 4 years, what has she done? For God's sake, it took us 3.5 to change her dialogue. As we wrap up here, I told you I had a little bit of an announcement. I meant to make it at the top of the show, but we're going to remind you guys each week for the next couple weeks. On the 23rd, on Showcase Day, we're not going to do it live, primarily because my internet will not hold up if we attempt to do it live. I will crash and burn. Myself, A1 Johnny, Nerd Generalist, and Colonel Panic, Joe Wilson, are going to assemble immediately after the event finishes for an emergency reactions pod like we did last year for the Witch Queen and like Corey and I did the year before for Beyond Light, which started this whole thing. It's become tradition at this point to do it pretty much as soon as it airs. I will edit it and get it posted while we are sitting in the queue waiting to load into the game. Hopefully we will not all be playing it during the pod like we were last year, where I'm trying to read my notes and load into the initial quest line for Season of the Lost. We will discuss everything that was there, and we will offer plenty of speculations. So beware, it will be spoiler-filled, potentially. It will be the entire showcase, and it will be our thoughts, probably running about 35, 40 minutes in length, just like last year's. So something to look forward to. That'll be up at the latest by early Tuesday on the 23rd, early Tuesday afternoon that day as a bonus episode. So just want to let you know, y'all to be on the lookout for that one. I know a lot of people will be at work. John specifically switched his days off around so that he could not only be here with us, but check out the new season without getting spoiled.
Attaboy, John.
So,
way to be a team player.
And the rest of us will be neglecting our duties. So
yeah, yeah, I would work from home that day, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for work are pretty busy for me.
We will, Corey and I, rest assured, Corey and I will talk about the showcase again on that Thursday. Likely will be a meaty schwab. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of expecting that to be when we find out about the Crucible changes, about the Glory playlist. Yep. We did get the Trials update on the announcement date last year. We had to wait a few weeks for it. We'd have to wait a whole season now, but I think they'll at least give us a roadmap of where we're going as we start the 5-6 month journey to Lightfall.
Yep.
So
we're almost there.
We are almost halfway there. When that happens, we will be exactly 6 months away from the Witch Queen releasing. It's crazy to say that we're approaching Lightfall, but when we're still 7 months away. But in terms of narrative, we are speeding there right now. Yeah. We are getting pulled over and getting citations from the Tower Police right now.
The Tower Police. Gotta love them.
Corey, get us out of here. Get us out of here, Corey.
All right, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Remember, you can catch us every Friday morning on your podcast service of choice and every Saturday on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. If you listen on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. Josh, thank you for your time tonight. Where can we find you?
At Josh_Finn, 2 N's, always. I don't have anything witty to say this week. I'm just going to be really happy that DK Metcalf re-signed with the Seattle Seahawks, and that, I cried my eyes out watching KJ Wright retire today. So,
Baker Mayfield's practicing with the number ones in Carolina right now.
That's unfortunate. He should have been in Seattle, but clearly we're just tanking.
Yeah, it's all right. We have Deshaun Watson now.
That is worse. That is worse.
Oh no. You can follow me at IamCoreyHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter at Tower Casuals. Remember to tweet us your questions. Look out for our social media posts. I want to thank you all for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.